So I had my human design reading the other day, and let me tell you, my intuition was like, see, this is how we've been directing you for a really long time. The more you get in touch with yourself, the more you listen to that little voice within, the easier your life just naturally goes with the flow. What I found really, really fascinating is a lot of the things that came up in my human design reading and the report is a lot of things that I've been gently shifting my life over the past, for sure, the past 3 years, especially with my eating habits, my sleeping, my energy. I've noticed with my work habits. It's been really interesting. So for me, a few things that came up. So how do I know when I'm on the right path? I feel success. I feel successful, which is very true to me. My not self theme. So when things are not aligned, bitterness. And I have definitely noticed that. So the past few days, I've noticed if that even begins to creep in, I just stop and ask myself, okay, what am I feeling? And what's out of alignment? Because when I'm feeling this bitterness feeling, that is 100% not in alignment with me, which is very cool to know. I did know that before as well, but didn't have that connection to what that bitterness feeling was. So that's cool. Personality profile. So I'm a 2-4. So the 2 is more introverted, hermit, inner world, which is, it's very much me as well. And then the 4 is also a people person, outer world, being with like-minded people, quality of relationships. So not having just a ton of friends, but having quality friendships or quality relationships of people that you're around. The easy breezy genius. And at first, when she had said this, and how does this sound to you? And I was like, I have no idea, because I don't feel like I'm, easy breezy. I definitely want that, which is going with the flow. And the way she described it is there's certain things that that you just can't really describe. That's 100% when I get intuitive hits. There's things that I get these hits and I'm like, you know what? I kind of have this feeling. And it's interesting. A lot of times these feelings have been correct. So yes, great reminder to listen to my intuition, 100%. Digestion, I'm going to go through that. Environment, where do I feel best? Markets, where there's people coming together to work, like a community, not a community, but not just everyone in cubicles, but like a community office, but a small office, which is exactly what our office is, which is awesome. Best thing I can do for myself is allow people and opportunities to come to me instead of feeling pressure to go out and make it happen, which that's how I feel. I 100%, I'm not someone like when I get a telemarketer call or email, it drives me crazy because that is not me. That is not how I do business. That is not how I do my life. It drives me crazy. Which again, the bitterness, I need to be able to let that go, obviously. A helpful tool for me is alone time. I 100% knew that. Practice self-care. And that is something that I am getting much better at, doing my self-care. So some things, alone time where I have zero responsibilities, zero commitments, close the door to my room or my office, go for a long drive, get out in nature. I love to do that with my camera. So it's completely in line. With me, work by design. So contribute to a team or project. And yes, within our office, like we're a small, medium business. And I love how everyone works together. I need time to make my best decisions, which I do. I know that. And I'm going to 100% honor that now, which I love that. Being creative and can see and measure progress. Yep, that's 100% me. Apply my natural gifts and share or teach which comes easily to me, which that's, I think, why I like making these YouTube videos, because I can share my knowledge of my intuition. I can share my knowledge of essential oils, and they're two things that benefit my health as well. Yes, rest. Projectors need a lot of rest, which I feel so validated. And we went downtown today, and what were we looking for? Oh yeah, the solar light caps for our deck posts. So that's now finished, which is awesome. And so we were walking around all the seasonal, like the outdoor seasonal stuff, and I saw these cushions. And so interesting, projectors, maybe because we like to nap often, we like to lay down. And that has always been me. Like if I had the option of sitting in a chair or laying on the floor on a cushion, or that's why I have stuff on these IKEA beds, I gotta clean them off, that are stackable, but they're, I don't want to say they're stiff, but they are kind of stiff. They're amazing. Amazing if you like to lay on your stomach and read or do whatever, or work on my computer or do whatever. So that's an interesting thing if you're a projector. Oh yes, exercise may help process energy and emotions. So especially at the end of the day, because that can help move energy out of me. And that I do my best with variety and going with the flow and seeing how my body feels that day. So, which is interesting because I have joined Beachbody twice now. The first time was in 2021, and then I sank for a little bit because we had a lot going on with my husband's health, and so I stopped and didn't renew it. And then I joined again this spring earlier, and I did awesome for about a month and a half. And then it was like, I had a few late nights and I couldn't get up the next day. And then I was internally beating myself up. There's no need to do that because I need a bit of variety. And some days, which is exactly how I feel, some days I want weights. Some days I want a little bit more. Some days I want weights and more. Some days I want abs. Some days I want butt. Some days I want yoga. Some days I want nothing. And that came up in my report. You do best with variety, with the way you move your body. So honor that. It's quite simple. It's really, really quite simple. My diet is also go with the flow and seasonal. So closed taste means it's healthy for you to eat the same meals over and over again, which is interesting because I'm not great at meal planning, and this is exactly why. And that's one thing she picked up on too. No, you need to go with the flow. If you do a meal plan on the weekend, by Wednesday or Thursday, that's not what you want. And that's 100%. It's so interesting. It's 100% me. Eat when I'm hungry, not just because society tells us that you have to have breakfast at this time and lunch at this time and dinner at this time. Eat when your body's hungry. I think everyone should follow that, truthfully. Mental health. Oh, I'm naturally prone to overthinking, which I did. I know that. But now this kind of brings the awareness to me, which is great. She's got some other, like there's some gates and then there's some questions. So there's still journaling I need to do. The projector has a bird's eye view. Only the projector can guide them to get to where they want to go in a better, more efficient way. As a projector, you have the ability to gain a higher perspective and total clarity about certain specific parts of life. Your purpose is to use that to improve and refine the way others do things. When your efforts are focused on guiding and making improvements, this is when you will be the most successful and fulfilled. So it's really interesting information. There's a lot here I need to read through. I'm also emotional wave 37 to 40. I'm learning all this, the tribal wave, and essentially what she said about that. And I found this really freaking fascinating because the other day, I was talking about the energy, that's what it was. And I was referring to the energy as a wave, that I was feeling like I was currently in the pullback of the wave. You know, when it pulls back into the water and then it builds and builds and builds and then it comes forward and the wave crashes. I was feeling up to the new moon and the eclipse, I felt like I was in that pullback. And so she used the analogy of the emotional wave, the tribal wave, that when you're in a high and when you're in a low, those are not times that you want to make a decision. You want to wait till you come back to neutral before you make that decision. So I found that extremely affirming in my life, because that definitely is how I kind of operate right now without even realizing that's what I was doing. Yeah, there's a lot to go through here, which is really awesome. I do better in a smaller office versus a larger office with a lot of people. Or even, she said, so my energy is very, very, very sensitive to technology, which I know for whatever reason. And I'm just looking for the one stone. I have a bunch of these in shungite. I have a bunch of these beside my bed, actually beside all of our beds, because we all have some form of technology in our room at some point. I do not keep my phone in my room all night. This is now coming off, and so I used to keep this on to track my sleep, and I noticed my sleep was being really interrupted, and so I took this off Wednesday night, and Wednesday night, Thursday night, and last night, I had way less interruptions. So I'm thinking it's related. So I don't know how much I'm sleeping, but that's okay because I'm sleeping. Oh yes, and markets. So I do better in spaces that are smaller spaces that are comforting, stimulating, but not too stimulating. So a lot of fluorescent lights is not good for me as well. Even, it's interesting, I'm going to be doing a bit of work here soon. And one thing she mentioned was to make sure, you can't see it anyway, not to charge my computer when I'm using it, because that can even be too much energy for me as well. I'm a really sensitive being, apparently. I did know that, but here we go. Yeah, don't charge computer and use it. Artificial light, Wi-Fi. My strongest sense is feeling. So when I think back, over my lifetime, and whether good or bad things, I can, for most things, for pretty much all things, think of, I had a feeling before I found out whether it was good or bad. So trust that feeling. Even though you're not going to be like me, but I highly suggest, I think everyone should have a human design reading, because it really does it brings clarity. It brings understanding. It brings love forward for yourself. So yes, my intuition, follow my intuition. No watch on at night. Get out into nature as soon as you can. Oh yeah, so my manifesting style is non-specific, which I had no clue what that meant. Non-specific means, so if you think of a vision board, and what people will put on a vision board, some people get super, super, super specific. And I have found, when she explained what the non-specific means, I was like, wow, that is fascinating, because I can't do a vision board how people instruct me to do a vision board. For whatever reason, I cannot do anything super specific. Mine has, it's kind of vague, or it's, I have a picture of my family. I have a picture of the chakras with the third eye just absolutely expanding. Exploding is the word that keeps coming into my mind, because that's how it's coming out. I have pictures of me making bread with my essential oils, taking photos, exercising. I have a picture with, it's a picture of one of the trees in our front yard, and it had ice on it, and I have a quote on there, because photography is also my passion. I've got wealth and desire, health and happiness, expansion, evolution. It's on my computer. What else do I have on here? My husband and I, that I'm aligned, money and success. Don't change people, they merely amplify what is already there. Wealth. Yes, expansion, evolution. So it's something interesting that I was somewhat in my mind like, why can't you do this? Why can't you do these things? Or even signing up for free things, free, even it could be energy workshops or whatever it is, and like feeling a little pull to it, signing up for it, and then being like, it's really not pulling me in that much. And that's why I need to allow myself some time before I dive in, before I commit, and know that it's actually 100% in alignment with my energy body. When the 2 and the 4 come together, so yes, I need lots of rest, natural shyness. The wrong people are filtered out, which is interesting. The natural and the people person, since the natural has a hermit side and the people person is naturally friendly and the people are drawn to you. The 4 gives you motivation when it comes time to share your gifts, but the 2 in you also doesn't care that much about sharing, which is very true. The world will tell you that you can't be both. That one is the real you, or that one is better than the other, but both of these sides are here to serve you at different times and for different purposes. Learn to dance between the two, being whichever one the moment needs from you. And what I love about that is when I first started my oil business, my wellness business, I was attracting in people that literally wanted their hand held for every single thing. And yet, that's not how I was living my life and how I wanted to run my business. But at the time, it was more, I was focusing on make the sale, get the oils into people's homes, and they'll have the same desire to learn that I did. Well, not everyone does. That's totally fine. I feel like as projectors, that's one thing that we're an interesting bunch. We kind of pull in, well, at least myself, I pull in, I want to have trusting resources to find the information, but I also want to trust within myself. And when I went to the first class that I went to about essential oils, I listened and then I came home and digested. And it probably was at least a week before I placed my order, which I wanted to do myself. And I walked through it and I navigated it and I figured it out. But it was something that I really had a desire to make the shift in my life. And so it wasn't long into my wellness business that I was like, I'm attracting the wrong people. I don't want to attract the people that just want me to fix it all. And I know why I was attracted to that, because I'm a natural wanting to fix it all. But that's not what I'm here to do. That's one of my lessons I'm here to learn, is to let that go. And people need to take their own responsibility for their own health and wellness. Because let's face it, not everyone is perfect all of the time. No one is perfect in this lifetime. There isn't one of us that is perfect. And perfect is defined completely different by every single one of us. So for one person to say or to discredit or be judgmental of someone else's life path, that's only saying something about you and not the other person, because everyone has their own life path. And especially like after getting my human design reading, like there is not one of us that is even remotely similar. We are all different in some way. And honoring ourselves is the best way that we can be our best selves. 100%. Oh, right. So the closed centers, so where I can pull energy from, so where I'm projecting my own energy out, which is the ideas, the throat, which is connected to the spleen, which is interesting because a few years ago, all of a sudden, I was having these feelings. And if you've been pregnant before, it felt like I had a baby inside of me, but on my left side, only on my left side. It was extremely interesting, and I did not say anything to anyone for at least a week because I thought I was kind of going crazy. Like, there was no way I could be pregnant, and what the heck was happening? Turns out it was an enlarged spleen, and I had shifted backwards a little bit in my diet. And when I say diet, I just mean eating the foods that my body wants me to eat. I do not follow a specific diet. I follow what my body tells me. Technically, I can have avocado oil. So technically, I could have avocado oil chips. For whatever reason, my body is not great with things that are saturated 100% in oil, and especially when I don't know the quality of the oil. It's interesting. The more I get in tune with my body, the more my body's like, hey, thank you. You're getting it now. Now we're not going back. Or if I do slide back, it's like, boom, remember? Like almost instantly, honestly. Ego, heart, motivation. When your heart center is defined, you like to be in control of your life and your resources. From where you will work to how you make and spend money, you're meant to let your core desires guide you. They are the breadcrumbs to your inner alignment. It's healthy for you to express your ego's desires. But that's where you have to realize what is the ego and what is the intuition. Because sometimes our ego can be like, nope, can't do that. But yet our intuition's like, whoa. The angel and the devil on the shoulders. Intuition and the ego. Enough said. They can work together beautifully, but they can also work against each other. You just have to learn to figure out which one is your ego voice and which one is your angel, your intuition. Spleen, instinct. So naturally, I'm a fire empath, and I can totally, I'm an intuitive. I can totally get that feeling, get that little hit, the little spark. And solar plexus is also. So then I've got open centers. And this can be where, when you have an open center, as I'm learning, other people's energy can come in. So you have to learn how to protect, cleanse. So when she said moving my body at the end of the day, when I've been out in places, is really beneficial because I can help move that energy out of me. Meditating is also helpful for me. Journaling, another form of movement and getting things out. Yes. Root is also open and sacral. And then my gates, which I need to learn more about. So there's one gate that she pointed out, focus and precision. You have the ability to be focused and precise. So as a projector, a lot of projectors get their best work in most concentrated work in 2 to 4 hour blocks. And I remember first reading that and thinking, who the hell can do their job for only 2 to 4 hours a day and get shit done? Especially when, I'm going to say it, in the coaching industry right now, it is blowing up like insanity that everyone can charge hundreds of thousands of dollars and people will pay it. Like it's and this is where I, as a projector, I can oversee it's setting it up, not like anyway. And one thing she explained to me is what that means is concentrated work. So for example, when I get into billing work, I do not like distractions. My brain has a really hard time going from concentrated work to the phone ringing and multiple calls. And anyway, how I do it best is in chunks of time where there's no phone ringing, where there's no interruptions, and it works amazing for me. Whereas another form of my productivity is getting shit organized and getting shit done. And I can do that on high energy. where the phone might be ringing, people might be in and out. I can do that, but I can't go from that to then focusing and concentrating on work that is different. It's different. So it's interesting. So when she said the 2 to 4 hours and then take a break, truthfully, I wouldn't be doing billing for 8 hours a day. There is absolutely no way that that's possible for my brain, or doing stuff like that. So it is in 3 to 4 hour chunks, I would say. And then I make sure that I take a break and then go back into work and doing whatever I'm doing. And even when I'm home, I do chunks. I don't do the same thing for a long time. I do one thing and then I do another thing and then I'll rest. Because as projectors, I guess we need lots of naps, which is awesome. So let yourself get overexcited and passionate. I have that gate. Creating togetherness. With this gift, nothing makes you happier than being around your people, and you're skilled at bringing them together. Your gift is creating community. Let yourself indulge. Being a giver and provider can bring back abundance. Follow the nudge. Just such great information. Another interesting thing is gate 46. So gate 46, she said, is tied to your weight. And what it is your love and physical self and its power. This gift is about learning to love your physical self and, frankly, the sheer awe of having a physical body. You came here to fall in love with being a soul that got gifted this huge blessing. So we're all souls here experiencing or having a human experience. So think of it that way. How to learn to love your body is not just the obvious way, but also in really understanding it and appreciating it for its power. Because of conditioning, you've probably haven't felt a lot of self-love in this lifetime. Your journey is to master what loving your body truly means. And then when you do it for yourself, you can help others master it for themselves. Hello. Like, this has been my experience. I have not loved my body the way my body wants to be loved at all. I knew this in my teens, but I had digestive issues that suck as a teen. But especially when you're not eating the right things, they're even worse, right? Yeah. And then going through infertility, and then when giving birth to our first, having complications and that fear of losing our child, then going through an emergency C-section, and then being told that even though I told the nurses I couldn't breastfeed because when I was 18 I had a breast reduction, which, newsflash, they grew back. So apparently my body was meant to be this size of boobs. Anyway, it's really interesting because that surgery in itself was a fucking nightmare. Fucking nightmare. Yes. I felt very alone and it really sucked. And I went through a few complications and it was just, I kept saying to everyone it was the worst pain of my life. And I hadn't even had kids yet, thank God. Thank God. And even when I did have my kids, I was like, that's still, like, it was a horrific experience at 18. And then for the beauties to grow back. So that's interesting. So it has been a journey of loving myself and loving my body. And so I'm leaning more into that and leaning more into how I can feel good, completely guilt-free, because that's what it's about. Everyone feeling good. And yeah, so apparently everyone, or a lot of people that have issues with weight have this gait. And it's challenging to lose, or it's challenging with gaining and losing weight. Intolerance for roadblocks. Your persistence is a powerful gift, and it's important that you let yourself get fiery whenever something tries to stand in your way. You're resilient and powerful and designed to never give up. Hello, the last 3 years. Like, can we be real for a moment and just say, government? Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's fucked up everyone's mental health, the kids, the parents. If you've had anyone in any type of medical situation needing anything, it totally fucked you over too. And they continue to spend ridiculous amounts of money, and yet we have to still pay ridiculous amounts of taxes. And it's just like, really, I really don't know anymore, because the person running the country, if they were in charge of a business, making the remarks and making the decisions that he's making, there's no freaking way he'd be in charge of a corporation any longer. And yet he's in charge of a country. And as that leader stood up and called people who put their health first racist, selfish. Oh my God, like there were so many names that you can't get on. What makes you think that you can get on a plane or train, or I feel like there's one, a plane, train, automobile, I guess I'm thinking of, but it was a plane or a train. What makes you think that you can get on a plane or a train next to anyone else? What? Anyway, I highly, highly suggest you get your own reading.